So I have 5 kids, and with 5 kids, you have to learn how to be really creative, especially when it comes to managing your money. Now, I like to call it managing your money, but a lot of people call it budgeting or having a plan for your cash flow. Whatever it is that you do, you definitely need to make sure that you're managing your money properly if you're going to have a family. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 tips. The first 2 tips are kind of generic for pretty much anybody and everybody, regardless of whether or not you're going to start a family in the near future. But tips 3, 4, and 5 for sure are really fantastic. In fact, tips 3 and 4 are going to give you some great ideas. But tip number 5, if you're like me, it'll save you thousands of dollars over your career as a parent. I'm telling you, tip number 5 is not going to be one that you're going to want to miss. So let's get into it. My name is Paris Clough, and this is Financial Self-Reliance. On this channel, we help people manage, protect, and grow their money. And in this video, I'm going to help you learn how to manage your money more effectively, especially if you've got lots of kids. My family has 5 children, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what my experience has been having 5 kids and having the opportunity to raise 5 kids and how to budget that and how to manage my money properly so that I keep everybody happy. So the first thing I want to make sure that everybody realizes is that when you have a budget, you need to know how much money is coming in. That's critical. You have to have a job. You have to have money coming in. So how much do you have coming in? Does it come in weekly? Does it come in bi-weekly? Does it come in monthly? How often do you have money coming in? And then make sure you're keeping track of how much is coming in and how often. And then what I would do is average that out over the course of a year. And maybe if you're paid every 2 weeks, that means I would say, there's 52 weeks in a year. So I'd take 26 times what you're paid and then kind of average that out by 12 because there's 12 months. So the other thing that I would do with my income is see if there's any way I can increase it or figure out how to do more to create a business or to start investing or to do something to increase your income. The next step is critical. The second step or tip that I'm going to share with you is learning what is going out. So the amount of money going out every month is critical. And there's 2 main variables, or there's 2 main categories of money that goes out. These are called expenses. So there's fixed expenses, which is like your mortgage, your car payment, things that don't change every month. So fixed expenses are those ones that you can't change. You don't even have the opportunity to kind of lower them or maybe fudge a little bit. You have to pay the full amount or else you might end up getting in trouble. Then there's the variable expenses. Those are the expenses that are a little bit more flexible. You don't have to drive as much every month. Maybe you don't have to eat the fancier foods at the grocery store. Maybe you can buy stuff that's nicer. Maybe you don't have to go out to eat. Maybe you go to the grocery store instead. And so you're saving money. Those are the variable expenses. Those are the things that you can kind of get a little bit of a grip on and you can handle yourself. So variable expenses are one category of expenses, and then fixed expenses are another category of expenses. And you want to make sure that you have your fixed expenses separated out so that you can, because those are pretty much hard and fast. You're not going to be able to change those. But when you have the variable expenses, you can start to look and see what can you change? What can you do better at? Where can you cut a little bit so that you don't have to be spending as much money? And that way you can start to live within your means. And then, of course, I always love saying is once you learn how to live within your means, now it's time to grow your means to make more money. So steps 1 and 2. Step 1, jot down and track how much money is coming in. Step 2, make sure you're keeping track of what money's going out and then what you can do to kind of minimize the amount of money that's going out and make sure that you're spending your money wisely. See, the last thing you want to do is end up with more month at the end of your money. And there's a lot of people like that. And that's why there's so much debt in America today. You definitely don't want to go down the road to greater and more debt. So if you have a family or you're going to start a family, here's step 3. Step 3 is something that I think is absolutely critical for anybody who's going to have several mouths to feed. Buy in bulk. Well, what do I mean by that? So if you have 5 kids like I do, that's 5 plus my wife and I, that's a total of 7 people. So we can kind of buy in bulk. We can buy the baker's dozen stuff, buy 12 and get 1 free. So you can go to things like Costco or different stores that offer bulk prices. And so buy in bulk. Even if you don't have that many people, I would still recommend buying in bulk because especially if you're going to buy foods that you like, that you eat, that you know you're going to eat, because you get a better deal. Even if it lasts for 2 or 3 months in your shelf, it's going to be okay because food can last that long and still be okay. You don't have to eat everything you buy that week. So buy in bulk either way. That way you're buying and you can put some in storage, you can have some extra, and then 3 or 4 months down the road, you pull out the mac and cheese and you're like, wow, I'm glad I bought 24 boxes of this 2 months ago. So you can still have some available to you. And frankly, with the way prices are going with inflation, it might be better to buy some food now. And because a box of mac and cheese today might be way less than the same box of mac and cheese in a month or 6 months. So buying in bulk is a great idea for any size family. The next thing I would do is really consider buying the store brand. Buying the store brand is really important. This is all, by the way, under how to really manage your money, buying the right thing. So buy the store brand. That's something that I would highly recommend do. And then buy sales. Make sure that you're buying on sales. Check the sales. And one of the things that I've really done with my family, and I know this might sound strange, but I've used secondhand stores quite often and found some really good deals. There's some people that donate clothes that are brand new. In fact, I've walked into some secondhand stores and there's some clothes that still have the tag on them. And so there's nothing wrong. In fact, that's quite a cool thing to find, and it's like a treasure hunt. And so if you can go to a secondhand store and you can buy quality clothing, good high-priced stuff for a fraction. I mean, it's pennies on the dollar if you go to these secondhand stores are fantastic. Make sure that you're buying things with frugality in mind and buying things based on wise purchasing principles, which is, of course, the things we talked about. Now, step number 4. This is critical, especially if you're going to have a family, especially if you're married, and especially if you've got a bunch of people involved. Set the proper expectations. Now, a lot of people say don't talk to your kids about money. I personally think that's ridiculous. I don't necessarily think that our kids need to know every little detail about every little thing that we buy or purchase or bill, or all the nuances of debt and all those things right away. But there is an opportunity for you to kind of teach them how to manage their money by how you manage your own money. So it's an opportunity for you to teach them, hey, look, by the way, the reason why we can't spend $5,000 on your birthday next month is because I make this much money, we spend this much money, we only have this much left over, and we're trying to spend it wisely. So this is how much money we've allocated for your birthday. And it might be $50 or $100. But if they, every kid, and any parent will vouch for this, every kid wants to buy everything toy in the store. So you've got to set that expectation up front and let them know, look, we want to get you nice things. We want to be able to do and provide nice things for you, but we're in a budget right now. We're working with this much money. And then they know and they understand why you can't buy them, the 17,000th Xbox or whatever it is you're buying them for their birthday. And so setting expectations, especially if you got several kids, with 5 kids, 7 people, my wife and I and 5 kids, that's 7 people. There's literally a birthday every other month in my family. And so it takes a lot of money to save up for those, especially if you're going to go out to eat, especially if you're going to have a cake, especially if you're going to have presents and everybody wants to get the kid a present, or you're getting several presents per child. It starts to add up really quick. It'd be $300 or $400 each kid. So you got to make sure to set the expectation properly, set a budget properly, let everybody know. And it's okay, because if you all understand what's going on and where you're coming from, you're going to be fine. And my kids have been fine with it. I've actually shared with them several times, this is how much we make, this is how much we spend, this is how much we're putting aside for birthdays, so that everybody has about this much money, and this is the budget. Please help us stay within that. And all of our kids know. If they give us a list of birthday presents that they want or Christmas presents that they want, and it's 4 or 5 things, and they're each $100 each, they know that they're probably only going to get 1 or 2 of those things, not 4 or 5, because that's outside the budget. We need to be able to allocate those funds to other kids so that everybody gets something that they want and that they would like to have. So that's something that's really critical. Set the expectation up front. So this last tip you're going to want to listen to. Do not click off the video. Watch this next tip. But before I get to the next and final tip, the 5th tip I'm going to give you that's going to save you thousands of dollars. I would love to know, how many kids do you have? What kind of things do you do with your budget? How do you budget your money as a parent, as a father, as a mother? What are you doing to make sure that you're managing your money properly so that you have enough to go around and enough to make sure that all of your kids have a fair shot and that you're not going into debt and digging yourself into a bigger hole? All right, you ready? So the 5th step this is a psychological step. How many parents, raise your hand if you've been one of those parents where you're walking through the store and your kid's like, Daddy, I want that. Mommy, I want this. No, look at this. And they bring you like 15,000 things off the shelf. At some point, you probably had the experience where they literally are throwing a tantrum and you're like, no, I can't. No. So this is, if you have a child that's doing that, try this tip. Try this tip. I promise you it may not work the first time because the kids kind of got to get used to it. But I promise you, if you stay true and faithful to it, you're gonna get it to work. So whenever my child would bring me a gift or a present or a toy or some kind of candy or whatever it was that they had to have, they couldn't leave the store without it, they had to have it that night, I'd say, listen, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna write that down. So I got my pen. I said, we're gonna write this down and we're gonna make sure that we know that that's something that you want. We're gonna put it back on the shelf and we're gonna let the store keep it for us. And then we're gonna go and we're gonna see and make sure that we're gonna go see, and maybe we can put it for your birthday, or maybe we can put it for Christmas or whatever holiday might be coming up. And then you let them know psychologically that there's a chance for them to have ownership. So if you just tell them, no, put that down, we can't afford it. If you say those types of things, that gives them no chance. There's no hope. So the kids don't want to be hopeless. They want to be hopeful. And so you're still being honest with them by saying that. Let's write this on a list. Let's make sure to save up for it. maybe we could put aside some money of your allowance, and we could put aside some money every month, and we can come back and buy it when you have enough to buy it. And we'll definitely put it on the list so we don't forget. Put it back on the shelf, let the store take care of it for us. In the meantime, when we have the money properly saved up for it, we'll come back, we'll buy it for sure. If you still want it, we'll buy it for sure. That's the thing too, is because a lot of times, as you know, a kid has to have it the day you're there, but 2 or 3 days later, they totally forgot all about it. Even if it takes that long for them to forget all about it. So I promise you this tip works. If you use it properly and you use it judiciously, you're going to be able to save yourself thousands of dollars. And it's a good tip for you, by the way. If you're wanting to buy something, put it on a list. Write it down. Get it out of your mind and onto paper. I promise you, if you write it down, that's a key element. You got to write it down, or at least put it on a list somewhere so that you can actually have it down on a list. Because psychologically, that helps you feel like there's some ownership, there's some steps towards ownership that are being taken, and that you're going to take to be able to eventually have that item that you want, if you still want it. And so this has worked wonders for me. It saved me thousands of dollars as a father over the years that I've done it. And again, I have 5 kids from 24 to 9. So I have experience. I've literally real world field experience with this technique, and it works, and it has worked. So I hope you got a lot out of this video. I hope that you take these 5 tips and improve your budget and improve your managing of your own money so that you can eventually learn how to live within your means if you're not already, but then grow your means. If you missed the last video I produced, you can find it here. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel up here and check out this video up here that YouTube thinks you might like. Until the next video, have a fantastic day.